Wait a minute, that's not right. 2 weeks, 2 triple power bombs for the Bloodline. Andrade delivers a message to the most overrated superstar, and the Money in the Bank briefcase helps a superstar cash in for the first time in 18 months. Okay, in the news! And the news indeed, we are back for another SmackDown, this time from Omaha, Nebraska. Let's start off with the main event between Cody Rhodes and mystery partner Kevin Owens taking on A-Town Down Under. Now, this one started from the top of the show when Rhodes wanted to talk about the Bloodline, but A-Town Down Under interrupted him, saying that Theory got hit by Fatu last week only because of Cody Rhodes. So of course, Theory and Waller started to surround Rhodes in the ring, but Rhodes took matters into his own hands, swinging first, but eventually getting overwhelmed before Terrence Crawford handed him a steel chair, which helped him take out both men to end the segment. But Rhodes wanted a match with those two later in the night, so Nick Aldis said that he needed to find a tag partner to get that match. And to no one's surprise, that tag partner ended up being Kevin Owens. So near the end of the match, after many minutes of punishment, KO was finally able to tag in Rhodes, who was on fire, taking out both men, but he did not realize that Waller had tagged in, which let him hit a rolling flatliner onto Rhodes to take advantage. But just moments later, Waller went for the flying knee that Rhodes narrowly escaped, and this time, Theory surprisingly caught Waller. But he argued with him just for a moment, leaving himself open for a Cody cutter, and then KO came in and stunned Waller, and then Rhodes finished off Theory with a crossroads to get the win. But of course, the Bloodline came out immediately with Jacob Fatu nowhere to be found. So Rhodes suicide dove onto both Sikoa and Tama Tonga, and then KO raked the eyes of Tongaloa, where they were about to set up to put Sikoa through the announce table when Fatu came out of the crowd and was able to take out both men. He then brutalized KO with several hip attacks into the turnbuckle and then a flying headbutt that Rhodes was forced to watch when he was again held up by Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Then Fatu joined those two and did a triple powerbomb through the announce table, just as they had done to Orton last week. But for the match itself, KO and Rhodes did get the win, but as of course they're not a normal tag team, so they're just 1-0. But A-Town Down Under, apparently after barely wrestling at all with the title, they just wrestle every week now, as they've lost 3 matches in 3 weeks, and that cost their record to drop to 3-5. But our match of the night was earlier on when Carmelo Hayes took on Andrade, and both men admittedly showed some great athleticism, especially early when they were flying all around the ring, but had minimal contact. Well, once things finally did pick up, we saw Andrade get the majority of the offense, but Hayes was able to hit a first 48 that didn't quite connect 100%, which then allowed Andrade to get out of the way off an aerial attempt by Hayes and led right to Andrade delivering the message to get the win. Well, all Andrade does is win, as he goes to 5-0 in one-on-one matches, while Hayes drops his 3rd straight one-on-one match, falling to just 1-5-1. And while Hayes continues to be a complete disappointment, I suppose there is no shame in losing to someone who is undefeated, but maybe there is some shame in losing to someone who is winless, which takes us to Tiffany Stratton versus Michin. Now, Nia Jax came out with Tiffany, and she grabbed Michin's leg while the referee was distracted, which allowed Tiffany to then hit an elbow, a rolling senton, and just when she was ready to hit a prettiest moonsault ever, Bayley came out of the crowd and grabbed her briefcase. Nia then tried to help out by running at Bayley, but she sidestepped it and threw Nia over the barricade and then hit her with the briefcase. Bayley then continued to try to smash the briefcase, and this distracted Tiffy so much that Michin came from behind, rolled her up, and got the pin. Amazing. This is Michin's first win in a year and a half, dating back to January 16th, 2023. She had lost 14 straight singles matches before tonight, and so now she is 1-9 in 2024. For Tiffy, surprisingly, she's lost 3 straight one-on-one matches, but still has a pretty good record at 5-3-1. Lastly, we had Bianca Belair take on Chelsea Green after she and Jade argued with Chelsea and Piper about having a meeting with Nick Aldis. And as you might guess, this one did not last long, as Bianca took care of Chelsea in about a minute after Bianca had landed a very rough German suplex that looked like it could have really injured Chelsea's neck, but Chelsea at least had the whereabouts to avoid a KOD and indeed rolled up Bianca, grabbing the tights, but Bianca immediately reversed that, rolled her up herself, and got the pin. Now, if Chelsea had some more awareness, it looked like she had been close enough to the ropes where maybe she could have grabbed the bottom rope with either of her arms. Unfortunately, she did not, and so Bianca gets the win, getting her first singles win in 2 months, but improving to 6-1 in one-on-one action, while Chelsea remains winless in one-on-one matches at 0-5. Now, beyond the mat for SmackDown, let's stay right there, because after the match, Fire and Dawn showed up on the Titantron saying that they will appear on SmackDown next week, but telling Jade and Bianca that we'll see whether they'll give them a title shot. Corey Graves also interviewed Nia and Bayley remotely when the two competitors for SummerSlam were not in the same room, but Bayley appeared to get the better of it, harkening back to 2017 and calling Nia big, clumsy, and reckless, causing Nia to storm away. In the middle of the ring, Nick Aldis had LA Knight and Logan Paul meet to have Paul sign the US title match contract for SummerSlam. But Paul said he didn't need the match, but it was only when LA Knight questioned Paul's manhood, saying that he had no balls, that Paul decided to sign the contract. And then as Paul left the ring, he then turned around when Knight had his back to him and attacked from behind. But both men were unable to land a big shot, and the segment ended with little fanfare. However, backstage, Knight then ran into Escobar and Elektra Lopez, and Escobar said if he had fought Knight one-on-one in the Money in the Bank qualifying match, he would have been the one to win Money in the Bank. Well, nonetheless, these two now will be having a match next week to see who the better man is. And with that, let's go to our STFs. And in this week's STFs, we will yet again start with our Bloodline edition, as Tonga, Loa, and Sikoa came down the ramp at the end of the main event, but Cody Rhodes actually attacked first, landing a suicide dive on Sikoa and on Tama Tonga, so Cody Rhodes will have to pick up a fine. But the Bloodline gave another brutal attack to both Rhodes and to Kevin Owens, with Rhodes eventually getting triple powerbombed through the announce table. So all 4 members of the Bloodline will have to get another 1-week suspension. But Cody Rhodes was doing his best Han Solo impression, because he always shoots first, and when A-Town Down Under came into the ring at the beginning of the show, Rhodes attacked first. So for that, his instigating yet again, he will get an additional fine. Elsewhere, we had Logan Paul leave the ring after signing his contract for the United States title match at SummerSlam, but of course, Paul turned right back around, and when LA Knight had his back turned, Paul tackled him into the turnbuckle. So for that attack, Paul will also get a fine. Lastly, during the Meechin versus Tiffany Stratton match, we had Nia Jax grab Meechin's leg, causing her to fall over. That helped Tiffy gain an advantage, so Nia will have to pick up a fine. Then Nia and Bayley also both got into it, and Bayley used the Money in the Bank briefcase to attack Nia. However, this was a pretty fair fight as Bayley was not really going after Tiffy with the briefcase. It was not until Nia went after her. So both Nia and Bayley, we will not give them anything as they did not directly interfere in the match. The Bloodline continues to assert its authority, ending the show for the second straight week with a triple powerbomb. Carmelo Hayes continues to come up short on the main roster, taking another loss. But Meechin finally gets a win at the expense of the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm Dr. O'Kay, reporting on the WWE, where everything is okay.